Another wife without a husband, another family fatherless. Hugh Magee's wife Josephine told him not to go to work yesterday because a Protestant had just been murdered. But he did, and he happened to drive along the wrong road at the wrong time. Heading back home to Ardoyne in his black taxi, he was noticed by a loyalist gunman intent on a reprisal murder. At the junction of Rosapenna Street and Old Park Road, the terrorists shot him several times through the window. The taxi careered into a wall. Hugh Magee died soon afterwards. 2 of his passengers were treated for shock. The UFF said it had killed him. The murder, it said, was a direct retaliation for recent attacks by Republican terrorists. Swift reprisal within hours of the IPLO shooting a Protestant, Harry Ward, on the Shankill Road. Hugh Magee was 53 and a Catholic. Known to his colleagues as the quiet man, he'd been driving taxis less than 5 years.
Went out to do an honest day's work, and this is what happens. And God help the other lady that it has happened to, along with me yesterday. I know what way she feels, and I wouldn't want it to happen to anybody else. I wouldn't. I don't want no tit for tat anymore.
What do you say to the people who carried out the murder of your husband and of yesterday's murder?
All I can say is God forgive them if they're God to face. That's all I can say. If they're God to face. And I wouldn't want it to happen to anybody, nobody, because we never went in for any of this carry on, none of us. He just went out and done his day's work and home and in the house, and that was it. That was his life. His life was surrounded with me and his son. That's all he lived for.
Just 40 yards from where Hugh Magee was shot last night, the UFF killed another Catholic man in January, Sean Rafferty. The Magee and Rafferty families are friends. Last night it was Sean Rafferty's widow, Mary, who had to raise the alarm and call an ambulance for the latest victim of her husband's killers. For black taxis, Rosapenna Street is effectively the only route from the Cliftonville Road to Old Park Road. The gunmen know it, and they've ambushed taxi drivers there before. 1/5 of all those killed in the Troubles have died in this area of North Belfast. It measures barely 1 square mile, but according to its MP, terrorists have murdered almost 600 people here. For 22 years, sectarian killers looking for an easy target have been coming to this area.
Our driver was shot, we believe, blatantly sectarian shooting. And not a matter of singling out one particular taxi, it's a matter that black taxis are invariably on that route Catholics. They are Catholics on that route. And he was shot because he was a Catholic and because he was a taximan.
Earlier this year, loyalist terrorists repeatedly attacked Catholic taxi drivers, killing 4 and injuring others. Now the UFF seems to be broadening the range of what it considers so-called legitimate targets. But the terror group hasn't accused its latest victim of anything, and the RUC called the murder purely sectarian.
We're fearful. We're trying to be as watchful as possible, but there's really not a lot we can do. We try to just provide the service and be as secure in our own mind and our own habits as possible.
Given that sectarian attacks have provoked retaliation in the past, what would you say to anyone contemplating that?
I don't think there's any need for any retaliation on behalf of Hugh Magee. Retaliation is a word which brings us into politics. We don't want to be in politics. We are taximen, and that's it.
After frequent demands by politicians, a new police unit began work this week. Its only job, to prevent sectarian attacks in North Belfast. But within days, terrorists have already murdered a Protestant and a Catholic in the area. Its MP, Cecil Walker, says the sectarian killers aren't worried about the police. He met a senior RUC officer today, asking him to treble the number of officers in the unit.
Well, he said that he was certainly aware of it, and that as far as he was concerned, he was going to make enough force available to cater for the problems that we are experiencing at the moment. He didn't specifically tell me numbers, but he certainly took on board what I was telling him, and I do think that he was being responsive.
The call for no retaliation made by Josephine Magee has been heard from so many widows before, words which still make no impact on the gunmen.